Now the All Blacks have two very important games coming up against Australia in the 2024 Rugby Championship, and Scott Robertson, the All Blacks head coach, continues to be under a lot of pressure. So in this video I'm going to talk about my test team selection that I think Scott Robertson should go with against Australia, and to give these guys some more experience. So let's check it out right now. G'day everyone, welcome to Inside Rugby with Mark. If you haven't been here before, my name is Mark. I'm a retired Kiwi bloke. I'm a huge rugby fan and I'm living here in beautiful Mexico. Now in today's show, I'm going to share with you my All Black team selection for that first test against the Australian Wallabies to be played in Sydney next weekend, and giving Razor Robertson a few little tips and hoping that you will make a few comments around that as well. Now before I show you my team, I want you to consider this. Since I've been watching the All Blacks play this year, I've been talking in all of my videos about Robertson should be experimenting with young players, giving them the opportunity to come through, and those players that haven't been showing their potential in certain positions need to be moved on and somebody else given an opportunity. That's what I've been banging on about for this 2024 season for this New Zealand All Black team. So consider that as we go into this video, because that's been the main basis of my selection for this particular team. Now of course Scott Robertson's under a huge amount of pressure going into these two games against Australia. Everybody expects him to win and of course retain the Bledisloe Cup for the All Blacks, which is a big thing, and the Wallabies haven't had their hands on that for a long time. So it's hard to think that Scott Robertson's going to do too much experimenting in this first game in particular in Sydney, because he's going to have all the pressure of the All Black fans and also the New Zealand Rugby Union executives on his shoulders. So I think pretty much we're going to see a team that started against South Africa in that second test in Cape Town, but maybe a few positional changes. Other than that, I think he's going to go with what he's had before. However, on my account, I'm looking to change things up. I want to see players in different positions, and I want to see new players be given an opportunity. We've got two games against Australia now, and then we take on England, Ireland and France, and New Zealand really need to be on their best behaviour if they're going to get any results out of those games. So I think these two games against Australia are really critical, and that's why I've put this particular team together. So let's go through it and have a look, and don't forget, drop me your comments on what you think about the players I've selected in these certain positions. And we're going to start off with the All Black forwards that I would choose for this first test match against the Wallabies. And in the front row, I would be going with Tamaiti Williams, Cody Taylor and Tyrell Lomax. Thought they played really well against the Springboks. Tamaiti Williams has been probably one of the finds of the All Black season so far in terms of continuing on his development and growth in that propping position, been very well. And I don't think there was a better All Black player on the field against South Africa in that second test match than Cody Taylor. I think he had an outstanding game, and I think Tyrell Lomax needs to be given an opportunity to grow for this All Black team. So we'll see whether or not that's going to be the front row, but that's the front row that I would select for this first test match. Moving into the locking positions now, Scott Barrett hasn't been playing the best rugby. He had those two games off against Argentina, so let's give him a little bit of slack for that. Maybe he's regathering his form, getting up to speed again with Test rugby. Hard to do that coming in against the Springboks and being at the top of your game after having a couple of games out. So let's hope Scott Barrett goes into this game against Australia and finds a little bit better form. I also can't stop to think that this captaincy pressure that he's under is having an impact on his game, and I've still got a question mark for myself whether or not Scott Barrett's the right captain for the New Zealand All Blacks this year. Moving on to the other prop, and of course a lot of talk around Patrick Tupuola coming back into the All Blacks when he's healthy, but for me Tupou Vaa'i has been playing very well. Love this young guy, he's doing a great job there, and I think he should be given another go in that locking position alongside Scott Barrett. So there's my locks for you for the first test match. Then moving into the back three, and I probably would say to you that this is a position the All Blacks haven't been getting right for me. there needs to be some changes in terms of positional changes, and I think we're starting to see it. It depends on whether Scott Robertson sees it and he makes some changes, but we'll have to wait and see. So for my loosies, I would be putting Ethan Blackadder in the 6 jersey. I'd be putting Ardie Savea in the 7 jersey, and I'd be putting Wallace Satiti starting in the 8 jersey. And I think if we try that combination for the All Blacks, we're going to get a lot closer to what we're looking for in terms of having Satiti playing that big game as he did against South Africa in that number 8 jersey. Ethan Blackadder will tackle all day long and be a nuisance of himself in the breakdowns, and Ardie Savea will have the opportunity to do more of those open busting runs from number 7, which we want from Ardie. And I think that loose trio combination for the All Blacks could be right on point. Let me know what you think in the comments. Okay, moving on to the backs now, and this is where I think we need to make a few changes for the All Blacks, and I'll give you my reasons as we go through the list of players that I would select. And at halfback, we're starting off with Cortez Ratama. I think he showed enough against the Springboks that he should be the starting halfback for the All Blacks. The more games he gets in that position for now, the more confidence I believe that he will have. And I think against a weaker Australian team than the Springboks, I think Cortez Ratama will really show what he's got for the All Black fans. And don't forget, we've got Cam Roigard waiting in the wings to come back at the end of the Northern Tour this year, and he'll slot in probably as the number 1 halfback in this All Black team. Now moving out to number 10, this has been one of the contentious issues for the All Blacks so far this year, and it also is for me as well, even in this selection. I've put Beauden Barrett in here, and I just want to see how he would go with Cortez Ratama inside him and against an Australian Wallaby team where he's probably going to have a little bit more time to be able to do things than what he would have done if he played in that position against South Africa. So I'd like to see Beauden Barrett be given a start at number 10. Is he my long-term solution for that position? No, he's not. As I've mentioned in previous videos, I'd like to see Harry Plummer be given a go at number 10, or even Ruben Love. He has a desire to be a number 10 in the future. Why not give the young guy a chance and see how he goes? That's what 2024 for me is all about when it comes to experimenting with this All Black team. So there we go. For the first test against Australia, I'd put Beauden Barrett in there at number 10, but definitely not my long-term solution to the number 10 problem that the All Blacks have. And yes, I believe they have a number 10 problem at the moment. So moving outside number 10, and we've got the 12 and 13 combinations, and I haven't been happy with these combinations so far throughout the Rugby Championship. Yes, Geordie Barrett's had a couple of good games on occasions, but overall I don't think he's been performing at the level that he can at number 12. But more importantly, I think there's another position where Geordie Barrett should be playing in this team, and you're going to find out in this video. So moving on to 12 and 13, for me, Anton Lienert-Brown and Billy Proctor, they played with each other against Fiji. They went very well in that game. They showed a lot of creativity and opportunity. I'd like to see them be given another chance in this game against Australia in the first test. Now, I don't think Anton Lienert-Brown is the long-term solution for the All Blacks at number 12. I think we still need to find somebody that's going to slot into there. So any suggestions you've got, put them in the comments right now. So Billy Proctor, I think, really needs to be given an opportunity. There's been too much going on with Rieko Ioane that is not positive news, and I think he's shown to everyone and all that it's time to try another solution in there at number 13, and I think Billy Proctor is that natural guy. He showed it against Fiji, he showed it with the Hurricanes, and I think he can slot into that position given an opportunity to build some momentum, some combinations, and I think he can be a really brilliant centre for the All Blacks. Okay, moving out to the wings, and as I said in my previous videos, the Mark Talia and Sevu Reece combination didn't work for me against South Africa for a lot of reasons, but I think the All Blacks have got two better wingers that should be suited to those positions, and the All Blacks should play them in those particular positions, and I'm talking about Caleb Clark and Will Jordan. I know there's a ton of you that think that Will Jordan's going to make the best fullback in the world. I totally disagree with you. The guy scored more tries than anybody else on the wing in the history of the game for the amount of games that he's played in, and as a result of that, I think he needs to be given that wing position as his position. He's scored all those tries because he's had centres inside him who have been able to create the opportunities, and that's what hasn't happened in this current series. And of course, Will Jordan's coming back after a long layoff as well. So he's getting back up to speed still with international test rugby at this level. Caleb Clark's had a brilliant year so far when he's been given the opportunity. Of course, he was out injured against South Africa in that second test match. So I'd like to see him slotted back in here and be given the opportunity to continue his growth path, because in that number 11 jersey, I'm seeing a lot of good things from Caleb Clark, and I'd like to see that continue. So there you go. Those are my two wingers for the All Blacks. And then moving on to fullback, and this is going to get some of you riled up, that's for sure. And for me, it's Jordie Barrett. Let's try him out at fullback. Now listen to me here on this one. First of all, he's got a very good long kick, and that's what the All Blacks need to be able to exit out of their 22. That's been a failing of theirs so far in 2024. So he could be used for that purpose. Also, by given a little bit more time, I think he's got some really good talent in terms of being able to counter-attack and bring the ball back up into the attacking line. And I think that's another good thing Jordie Barrett can do from fullback. If you remember back to, I think it was 2017 or 2018, Jordie Barrett played on the wing for the All Blacks. He scored 4 tries, which is a record for the All Blacks, and did very, very well in that game on the wing. So I think starting him at fullback would be a masterstroke by Scott Robertson. I'd love to see him go into that position against Australia, and I'd like to see him taking these 50-metre plus penalty kick opportunities at goal as well. The All Blacks need to put those points over on the board. So there we go. Jordie Barrett would be my experiment at fullback against Australia, and see how that one goes. Let me know in the comments whether you're on board with me on that or not. Okay, so there's my starting 15 for the All Blacks in this first test against Australia. Now let's start talking about the bench. Now many of you have written in your comments, because I read all of your comments, you've written about the All Blacks going to a 6-2 split on the bench, and I totally agree with you. I think we should be trying it out and see how we go. So with that in mind, this would be my bench for the first test match against Australia. Starting off with the forwards, Asafa Amua, Fletcher Newell and Tossie coming in on the bench, and then Sam Dowry, Sam Cane, and then it's a toss-up for me between Peter Lakai and Hoskins Situtu as the other bench member in the forward. So let me know whether you agree with me on either Peter Lakai and Hoskins Situtu if the All Blacks was to go to a 6-2 bench situation. I don't think Luke Jacobson has done enough to show that he should be in this All Black team at the moment. He hasn't delivered on giving that physicality to the All Black forwards. And I think by having someone like Peter Lakai, you have that speed and execution that's going to be absolutely brilliant coming off the bench to really make an impact. And that's what I've been missing from this All Black bench so far in 2024 is impact. And I think by having these players coming on like a Hoskins Situtu or a Peter Lakai, Sam Cane with that experience to be able to close a game out as well, I think a 6-2 split built around those particular players would really help this All Black team. But again, let me know in the comments. And then moving on to the backs off the bench, I would have Noah Hotham as the halfback, and I have Damien McKenzie as the utility back. Of course, he can cover a lot of different positions, and if we get in trouble with a wing, then we can slot things around as well for the All Blacks with Jordie Barrett at fullback. So I would have Noah Hotham as the halfback and Damien McKenzie as the other utility back. Again, with a focus on looking at making an impact coming off the bench in the last 20 minutes of the game. That's one of the critical things the All Blacks have been missing so far in this 2024 season. So there you go, there's my selection. Throwing a few balls up in the air on this one, but I think that's what the All Blacks should be doing in 2024. Getting away from this media pressure in New Zealand, getting away from all these fans saying that we have to win every game. We need to find the best combination of players that are going to take us towards that Rugby World Cup in 2027 in Australia. And we should continue to experiment. I know that Razor did a little bit of this in Cape Town, but some of that he was forced into by injuries. And the Will Jordan situation at fullback for me didn't work out. We need to find a new solution, so I'm proposing Jordie Barrett. Now, I look forward to reading all your comments on this one. I know I'm going to get some very interesting ones, so bring them on. I'm ready for them. And let me know what you think Razor Robertson should be doing as we head into the series against Australia. Now, we all know there's a huge amount of pressure on Scott Robertson as the head coach of the All Blacks. First of all, from the New Zealand public, who are just unrelenting when it comes to expecting wins of this coach or any All Blacks coach. Then you've got the New Zealand Rugby Union that will be wanting him to make sure their investment stands strong. Then you've got the general rugby population around the world, the community of rugby fans who all got an opinion on what should be happening with the New Zealand rugby team. So there's no doubt about it. Scott Robertson's got a load of pressure on his shoulders, and I think that's a large reason why it's stopping him from putting a number of these younger players in and really giving them an opportunity. But we'll have to wait and see, because he could call me out on this one and actually do some experimenting against Australia. I don't think that's going to happen, but we'll have. Now, I'm going to be back during the week with plenty of content as we head up to the round 5 of this year's Rugby Championship. Of course, we've got Argentina v South Africa in Argentina, and we've got Australia taking on New Zealand in Sydney. Plenty of stuff coming in terms of the team selections once they're announced, and then my in-depth analysis on what I think is going to happen in each game based on those team selections, and also the strategies that each of the coaches are likely to put out onto the field. Now, one last thing, if you're really enjoying my content here on Inside Rugby with Mark, please select one or more of these 5 options that I've got in front of you now on the screen to support my channel. Everything goes a long way. I love making these videos and talking about rugby nearly every day here on the channel. So your support would be very, very muchly appreciated. I thank you for that. And I'll see you all again very soon from here in beautiful Mexico. Until then, it's time to say stay safe, stay well everyone, keep enjoying your rugby no matter where you are in the world, and I'll see you again right here on Inside Rugby with Mark. Until then, it's bye for now.